faith. Are you acting in good faith? Is the tariff war something that Donald Trump is doing in good faith that's going to benefit America? And I think that it has. We've negotiated so many more deals. We've gotten so many countries to invest hundreds of billions of dollars into America, and believe that there should be more representation of black people in the Trump administration. I do.
And beyond.
The only unfortunate part is that there's not a lot of black people that are conservatives, or at least to say they're conservatives. And there's a lot of black people that don't want to be associated with Trump because they're going to get killed by their own people.
Yo, welcome back to Reggie Red's Reactions, man. And it's your boy, Reggie Red. Now today I got a good one for y'all. We got Stephen A. and Brandon Tatum. They just having a little cordial conversation. It's not necessarily a debate. But Stephen A. did press him a little bit on some things that I like. And he let Officer Tatum get away with a couple of things that I don't like. But we gonna get into it. And if you like this video by the end, make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And hit them notification bells too, so you know when I'm dropping another video. Let's get into it.
Assuming the Democrats don't get their act together and they're going to lose another election, not just the midterm, but the presidency in 2028. If we let him continue to get away with this kind of verbiage and these kind of actions that appears to lean towards authoritarianism, where does that leave us? To that you ask, and I'm talking about us as black people. You answer that in what way, sir?
Yeah, great question. I think that, what we have to evaluate is, the numbers that they present. They're not, ask people who live in Chicago. Do you think Chicago's crime is down 20%, 15%, whatever percentage they present? Go to Philly, go to anywhere in the hood where black people live, where you can get, people know it's crazy out there. People are terrified to live there. Grandma and them, these young brothers, they're using young brothers now, Stephen A., to commit crimes because they're lighter on crime for juveniles. So they got our young brothers out here robbing people and killing people and shooting, doing drive-bys, and they don't get no time in jail. That's why the YN word is now a big thing. It's trendy because our young brothers are doing it now. So what I'm saying is they need to be more, there need to be more than just statistical numbers that they're putting out here and trying to hope that we believe them. Because when you don't enforce the law, the numbers go down. Meaning that if you have a shortage of law enforcement officers, you have a shortage of people calling and reporting crimes that are committed, or you have a shortage of arresting people for certain crimes, then you can fluff the numbers any way you can. I want to hear from the people who live there. I want people to physically go there and tell me it's safe. When the Memorial Day weekend, they got 70-some people getting shot and people getting shot in the head with stray bullets. And that's just in one city, Stephen A. Not all over the country where these black communities are. Now, the authoritative part of it, or the
authoritarianism. Yep.
Authoritarian.
Yes,
I'm saying the word wrong.
You got it.
So if they're saying that he is acting in a nature that's not geared toward or appropriate for his position, then I also ask people to say, what exactly is he doing? Is he saying that black people shouldn't be able to live in Chicago? Is he hurting black people and saying black people shouldn't be able to go to schools, or he's doing something to thwart the black community? He's saying, I want the community to be safe. I'm deploying these people to help young brothers not get murdered every day in the streets. So I would argue, what is he actually doing? If he was doing something nefarious against black people, then I would say, yeah, our antennas should be popping up that maybe he can't be trusted. Mm-hmm. But the reality of it is, Stephen A., is I don't think he's doing anything against black folks. It's that we don't have enough black folks standing up that are in positions of power to do this. Why does Trump have to do it? Why couldn't Obama do it? Why couldn't some of these black leaders say, enough is enough, doggone it? Too many young brothers are dying in the streets. 15 is too many. When are we going to say enough is enough? Because, Stephen A., we don't see this in the white community. Not to the degree that we see in the black community. We don't see drive-by shooting. We don't see Memorial Day weekends where 70-some white people getting shot. We don't see a term that white people use for YNs. We don't see them running and ransacking stores.
Why do you think we're seeing it? But why do you
online?
But why do you think we're seeing it in our communities? Let me ask your perspective.
And this the one thing I hate about this dude is how he try to compare black people to white people and make it seem like white people is just so much better. When you know that's not true. You want to talk about black on black crime? Well, let's talk about white on white crime. Because white people get killed by white people more than anybody else. So what are you saying? See, this bootlicking shit be fucking me up, man. And that's why I can't stand this fucking Tatum dude, because everything Stephen A is shooting at him. He got an excuse for it, or he's downplaying it, or if he is breaking the Constitution, then he needs to deal with it. Dude, he's breaking the fucking Constitution. What are you talking about?
What I do think, however, is that the danger, and I will openly admit I struggle. That's why I like talking to you. I like talking to liberals and conservatives and getting back and forth, because it edifies me. It just makes me better. So I appreciate y'all. Where it's a challenge for me, Officer Tatum, is that on one hand, I can look at you and I can say most of what you're saying is absolutely right. I know from personal experience growing up in Hollis, Queens, growing up in the streets of New York City, it is what it is. You're absolutely right about that. The flip side to it, however, is this. If you allow the Trumps of the world, the Trump administrations of the world, the Trump surrogates and acolytes of the world to spew that stuff, right? It becomes distractionary because focusing on that makes you say, yeah, I got to vote for them again. Make sure, the liberals ain't back in office and they stay in office. And then you know what? Tariff wars, all right? That we don't know whether or not that's necessarily going to work out for it. We getting a whole bunch of pledges, from corporations, companies, countries, etc. But that doesn't mean it's going to reach fruition. There's so many things. The war in Ukraine and Russia, that hasn't ended. Israel and Hamas, even though we understand what Israel has been doing. There's so many different things to point to that hasn't come to fruition in a fashion and a manner that the Trump administration said so, that pointing to these things that you are legitimately pointing out forces and compels folks to say, we don't need the liberals back in office that played a significant role in letting all of this happen. We need to keep those cats in office and they're not held accountable for what promises were made but not necessarily kept. How do you, as a Black conservative, answer that?
Yes, Stephen A. I think that it's very simple. I know that Trump is not perfect, and I know that he's acting in good faith, and that's all I expect from any president, right? Because we don't live in a dictatorship, and he can't do everything he say he want to do it every time because there's layers to it. He's getting sued in courts all over the country um, because he wants to deport certain people, so he can't get his agenda done. When he wanted to build a wall last time, he couldn't get the funding because Congress wouldn't pass a budget for the funding. And so I understand that every president is not going to do everything, but the way I evaluate it, Stephen A., is in good faith. Are you acting in good faith? Is the tariff war something that Donald Trump is doing in good faith that's going to benefit America? And I think that it has. We've negotiated so many more deals. We've gotten so many countries to invest hundreds of billions of dollars into America. And so I think it's going on the right path, and nobody's willing to touch it except Donald Trump. They're just willing to kick the thing down the bucket down the road until somebody's have to say, we have to do the hard thing to get us to the place that we need to be
But
in America. And, go ahead.
is it acting in good faith if you throwing out 4 or 5 different executive orders, scaling back our connection to Black history, like with the Smithsonian Museum and other things where those executive orders were being put out there? You've got Black folks that feel like this man is trying to detach us from Black history, from let the world knowing just as much as we've always known about Black history, or the more that we should know. When you hear about things like that, is that really looking out for our best interest, or is it looking out for his?
Right. Stephen A., if it was correct that Donald Trump was trying to eliminate Black history from the Smithsonian or history in general, trying to degrade Black
Okay.
existence, I would never support that dude a day in my life. I'll get on your show right now and say, screw that guy. And I don't support him, and why I never vote for him. The problem is that it's a conflation, and some people have a vested interest in saying things that may not necessarily be true.
Okay.
There is no evidence that Donald Trump is trying to eliminate Black history. It's impossible to eliminate Black history. It is impossible. Our stamp is on everything that exists. You can't change that just because, even if you try to do it through the Smithsonian, that's not the only place where history is espoused. I mean, or exposed.
Right.
That's not the only place that history can be learned. We still teach Black history in college. We still got HBCUs. You can still go online right now and learn anything you want to learn about history. But the truth is, he's not doing that at the Smithsonian. What happened is they're not telling the full story. They're telling a story that seems to be biased against white people and making it seem like white people just, they created slavery. White people was the only people that owned slaves in America. White people it's this whole anti-white sentiment that's not the full projection of what history was. There were a lot of black people that owned slaves. The first legal slave owner in the United States history was a black man, Anthony Johnson. So, and we can go down the list. People don't know much about Harriet Tubman. They didn't know that she was married to a black man who was a free black man at the time when she started the Underground Railroad. Actually, her husband told her that not to do it, which now he looked like a coward for doing. But think of how does that work? All the black people that own black slaves, the Juneteenth. And this is the things that I'm like, why is this not in the Smithsonian? And Juneteenth, people think that Juneteenth, being that in Galveston, Texas, was the last remnant of black slaves that were released and freed. That wasn't true. It wasn't until a year later that the Choctaw Indian finally released their slaves. Indians own slaves. So when we talk about slavery, when we talk about all this, we have to talk about it in the context of reality, or we develop hatred and misinformation. Slavery wasn't about race. Anybody that learned or studied slavery, I studied Africana studies when I was in college. Slavery was not about race. Slavery was about availability of cheap labor. Most of the slaves went to South America. Not most of them didn't even come to America. The North didn't have slaves. Only the South had slaves. We fought a war, the Civil War. The portion of the United States that didn't never have slaves, that black people were free in the colonies, they won the war. So,
Okay.
it's a lot of
Well,
nuance there, Stephen A. Who
understood.
helped Harriet Tubman free the black people from slavery? It was white folks. So there's a lot of history there that I think that Donald Trump is trying to correct to make sure that we're not overemphasizing hatred towards one group when it's not necessary. But if Donald Trump was doing it, I wouldn't support him whatsoever. I think black people need to stop listening to naysayers online and people who have a vested interest to hate the man. Go look at it for yourself. Go look at what Donald Trump is trying to do at the Smithsonian. Go look at it. Go read it. People don't read what he's trying to remove.
So last question to you. With that being said, how are you feeling?
No, this dude can't be serious, bro. He cannot be serious. Dude is just, oh my God. I know I keep saying it, but he just such a fucking bootlicker, bro. See, back in slavery days, he'd have been a house Negro. Why they always saying Democrats are on a plantation? Well, if you with the Republican Party, you'd have been a house Negro, telling on all the slaves and shit, sucking up to massa. That's what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing. He telling Trump is bringing in all this money and he's acting in good faith. When? Where? How can you listen to Trump and say he's acting in good faith, bro? He lies every time he breathes. And him being a smart black brother, he shouldn't, he see this shit, man. But he just got so much hatred towards his own people and too much praise for white people. So he'll put his people down and raise up white people like, yeah, we should be doing exactly what they doing. Now, I get it. Because I be angry at my motherfucking people, too. With all this killing and shit. Like, that shit ain't cool, bro. But don't try to act like it's just one race who do fucked up shit. When you have school shootings, like it ain't shit. And who's the main culprit of school shootings? Young white boys. So address that.
Do you think we're in a better place now or worse than when he took office, considering the direction the country is going in, and especially since you got cats like Steve Bannon, along with others, talking about him circumventing the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution and getting a third term, in office? I mean, your thoughts about that? I'll give you the last word on that.
Yeah, if Donald Trump tried to seek a third term in office, I will come on your show and I will tell the world that I'll never support that and I'll never vote for him for a third term. That's not the way our government has worked. That's not the way it should work. You get 2 terms, you out. Unfortunately, he missed the middle term. He got 2 terms not consecutively. He's out. Now it's time to get another person when Donald Trump is no longer there, and everybody got to compete. You compete for our vote, and we'll get to vote. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. It just is no Democrat that's saying anything that make any sense about anything in America today, in my personal opinion. So I don't foresee them ever getting my vote. But I will never accept that. The America should never accept that. And if Donald Trump ever attempt to do it, I'm gonna call him out for it. It's not right. Do I think that America is better now than it was under Joe Biden? 1,000%, and I think we're headed in the right direction. Just the securing of the United States border is huge. getting these illegal criminals out of our country is huge.
But a lot of
The
them ain't
deal that we've
criminals. A
done,
lot of them ain't criminals. I mean,
but they still here illegally, and they shouldn't even been here. And the reason that it makes me upset, because I know a lot of people who came here illegally. How in the world do the people pay all that money to come here illegally and wait 15 years and 10 years and 5 years, and somebody just sneak in the country? The people that did it right way, they want to be a part of the American dream too. They needed a job too. So why is it fair that they get to come here illegally? I say this all the time. When I went to the university, at the University of Arizona, of course I was on scholarship, but I earned my way to that university.
Right.
Many people had to pay thousands of dollars a semester just to go to the university, plus housing and all this stuff. Just imagine somebody walk in the university and take a seat, and they get to stay there just because they just walked in the room in the lecture hall, and then they get to participate in class and they get all this stuff funded. That's crazy. You don't get to come to America and take resources from people who paid to be here, people who did it the legal way, the American citizens. We could be helping homeless. Instead, we're giving hundreds of billions of dollars to illegal aliens that shouldn't even be here. So the majority of them are criminals doing heinous crimes, murder, rape, you name it. Then other people get caught up in that. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to go.
Hold on. Did he just say the majority of undocumented immigrants are criminals, bro? Like, really? Like, he really fall for Trump rhetoric, dog. This shit is insane, bro.
And get deported, you should come here in the right way. One of the girls that was a friend of mine in Arizona, she owned a sushi place. I didn't know she was illegal. They deported her. She had a deportation order for 20 years. Hey, I love the sushi joint. She was a great person. I would fight for her to have a right to be here in America, because she's the type of person that we need in America, who's paying taxes, creating jobs, staying out of the criminal justice system. But at the end of the day, you had 20 years to do this, and you didn't do it. I know people that did it, so it's not fair to them. But Donald Trump, with the securing of the border, illegal aliens, getting investments of billions of dollars back to the United States of America, peace deals that he signed and chartered with so many different countries that have been, they actually want him to be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Hopefully we come to a conclusion in Israel. Hopefully we come to a conclusion in Ukraine. He's just one person. He can't do it all, but all of the things that he has been doing has been tremendously effective. And I love the fact that he's correcting the script and not letting us go down this woke path of advocating based on somebody's race and not the content of their character. DEI was wrong.
I got you.
And we don't need to do that. There's qualified Black people that can be pilots. There's qualified brothers and sisters that are smart.
Here we go with this DEI shit. But everybody in Trump's cabinet right now is fucking not qualified at all. At all. Pete Hegseth, incompetent, texting war crimes to motherfuckers. You got Tulsi Gabbard, who Trump basically said, I don't give a fuck what she say. I'm going to bomb Iran anyway. And then she turned right around and back him up and try to put this Obama shit out. That shit ain't even catch hold. Motherfuckers don't believe that shit. But you got all these motherfucking incompetent motherfuckers. RFK don't know shit about health. He sound like he about to croak over any moment. But I bet you he ain't gonna say shit about that though. Where's they merit?
And that have Ivy League degrees and can do all of this stuff. We don't need y'all to be trying to play white guilt and put us in the places that some of us aren't qualified for.
We don't disagree with that in terms of theory and in your premise. What I would say, however, is that you can't turn around. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about him. You can't turn around and you eradicate these programs, and then when you hire people, quote unquote, the right way, everybody is somebody that look like him, that shares the same pigmentation and hue and what have you. Because don't tell me ain't a whole bunch of qualified Black folks. You and I both know. You understand? And then when folks are getting furloughed, they're getting laid off, they're losing their jobs or whatever, the implication is that they only got a job because of DEI or something along those lines, as opposed to actually being qualified. We can't let them get away with trying to disseminate that kind of message. Go ahead, real quick though. Go ahead.
I think we agree on this to a large degree, because I do believe that there should be more representation of Black people in the Trump administration. I do.
And beyond.
The only unfortunate part is that there's not a lot of Black people that are conservatives, or at least to say they're conservatives. And there's a lot of Black people that don't want to be associated with Trump because they're gonna get killed by their own people if they somehow associated with him. I mean, look at what happened to I forget his name now. It just escaped me. One of the greatest men to ever live, to ever do brain surgery.
Yeah, you told Ben Carson. Ben Carson.
Look what happened to Ben Carson. His legacy is tarnished because he somehow was associated with Trump. So I think there's a lot of Black people that are afraid. But I do agree with you. I see the same thing you see, Stephen A. The world you can't make it up. I think there's a lot more qualified Black people that should be in the Trump administration. Whether you have them in the press corps, whether you have them as your right-hand man, your chief of staff. I mean, I think there's more qualified Black people. But we can't complain when we too afraid to stand up and be conservative. We can't complain when we don't even want nothing to do with Trump because we're afraid of our image. So in part, I think that's why we see it. But then also, I think that the DEI thing is just like Stephen A. When Joe Biden said, "I'm gonna pick a Black woman for Supreme Court justice."
Couldn't do that. It was the wrong thing for him to say.
Set us back, just like
he should have
DEI
never said
set
that.
us back. What do you say?
He should have never said that. He should have never said that. He
Stephen
should have hired the best qualified
because
person, and they just so happen to be Black, as opposed to him saying that in advance because it opened the floodgates for the conservatives to turn around and do the same.
Right. But to think about it, Stephen A., now people question if that woman qualified or not because he go, "I'm gonna pick a Black woman." All he had to do, even if he was gonna pick a Black woman,
just do it.
That's why these people don't really care about us. They just talking. He could have said, "I'm gonna pick the most qualified." He could have built it up. I'm gonna pick the most qualified person that's ever been picked in the history of the Supreme Court justice, and just pick a Black woman. There you go. DEI. Stephen A. DEI. Why do we need a program to say we need to hire more Black people? Just hire more Black people. Quit saying that we needed some number of representation.
Because listen, I gotta go. I gotta go, but I'm gonna end it by saying this because systemically it's proven that unless it's enforced, it won't happen because folks will always find a way to take care of their own. The power structure that exists who don't look anything like us. That would be the answer to that question. But I don't disagree with what you're saying in terms of how it should be. Ain't no question about that. Look, man, I could talk to you all day. This ain't gonna be the only time you on this show. I'm happily going to come on your show whenever you call me. I look forward to it. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I gotta bounce out of here though, man. That's why I'm rushing you off because I gotta run right now. All right.
Stephen A., God bless you, man. Thanks for having me.
God bless, man. Take it easy. Officer Tatum in the house right here.
Boy, what can I say about this episode here? God damn, boy, this was a good one though, cause Stephen A. he was kind of asking the right questions, but that last one with the DEI shit, for one, DEI is not just about race, and I hate every time when conservatives bring it up, they talking about the race aspect of it. That's the only part you're looking at. Why? Because you're racist. White women benefit from DEI the most. So all the white women in Trump administration right now, DEI. And then the rest of the motherfuckers, they basically DEI. According to Tatum definition. Cause they only needed one thing, and that's to be loyal to Trump and not the Constitution. But anyway, drop a comment, man. Let me know what y'all think about this one. Leave a like, share with your friends. Let's run this channel up. I'll be back later with some more videos. Peace.